Blake Lively made a big deal about hiring Epstein's victim's lawyer. But guess what, guys? She's all over the files, and it doesn't look good. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. We got two amazing experts. We've been here live talking about this. We're going to call it the Jeffrey case. We got to be careful of our keywords here. But so honored to have Brianna Logan and Emily Hagan. Thank you both. Amazing journalists on Substack that you should be subscribing to. The links will be in our description. The mods are sharing it as well. But guys, welcome back to the show. We've been talking. Emily, you made a very good pivot, and I think it's important to sort of start again. You had this clip on your Instagram. Emily knows everything. You can go follow her there. And let's play it again just for folks who missed it and make sure we see it. This is one of the survivors, Annie Farmer, speaking out because a lot of people are focusing on Trump, which I think is valid. He's got a lot to explain, but this is bigger than even just Trump. This is multiple presidencies that have covered up this. And I want you to hear from her directly.
My sister, Maria, bravely blew the whistle on this group by reporting to the FBI what Epstein and Maxwell did to both of us. They hung up on the phone on her, and there was no follow-up of any kind. Bill Clinton was president. In 2006, the FBI came to us, finally interviewed us, and asked us both to be witnesses against Epstein. We were very anxious, but we agreed. And then we didn't hear back from them due to their infamous sweetheart deal. George W. Bush was president. In 2015, when the DOJ was sent a FOIA request for Maria's FBI files, and they were denied, as they have been many times, Barack Obama was president. In 2019, when Epstein died in prison due to either negligence or foul play, Donald Trump was president. In 2023, Maria's attorneys sent a letter on her behalf to the government, requesting an investigation into the repeated law enforcement failures in this case, similar to what was done in the case of Larry Nassar. They declined to do so. Consequently, my sister filed notice that she would be suing the government for failing to uphold its legal, ethical, and moral duties in this case. Joe Biden was president. This year, after campaigning on a pledge to finally release the files, under Trump's second presidency, the DOJ announced they were closing the investigation into Epstein's co-conspirators, and then transferred Ghislaine Maxwell into a prison camp, where it is well documented that she is receiving special treatment. This is not an issue of a few corrupt Democrats or a few corrupt Republicans. This is a case of institutional betrayal. Yeah. Because these crimes were not properly investigated, so many more girls and women were harmed. My sister, because of her bravery, was repeatedly threatened and lived in fear with dire consequences for her health and her career. 30 years later, even as oceans of allegations and obvious truths have emerged, the government has still not chosen transparency. This is why we have all come together as one united voice to demand the release of all the Epstein files and to finally bring the truth out of the shadows.
Beautiful words. And as Emily just pointed out earlier, yes, what she said there was very imperative, and what we're going to talk about, which was the bullying that these victims faced. While Blake wants to take credit of hiring this lawyer that did all the job, we're now seeing emails that seemingly say otherwise. I want to start with this one. This is from one of the victims. Now, we can't tell you who this is. We're not going to name this person, but Emily, you can attest. You've done your own journalistic digging. This is seemingly what you can confirm one of the victims of Epstein, correct?
Yep.
So just so you know, this isn't like, some random email. This is these are real victims.
One of the more famous survivors of the case.
There you go. So again, we don't want to imply it's anybody, but here's an email from them. You will all go down for what you've done to blank and other victims. This is your last chance for redemption. This continues. This is now, because I'm going in order. This was from April 19th. Now we're going to go back to April 20th. I became CIA to the conspiracy crowd thanks to a pair called Webmore. I don't even know what that means. You labeled me this because I got to be careful some of the words I use here. By this guy Stan, and prior to this, Bellwards tormented me with essay abuse, misappropriated funds, lied about an appeal process. Sigrid McCauley, that's this Sigrid McCauley, the same one who's now become the face of Blake Lively's trial, the same one who was subpoenaing me here in the state of Florida. Sigrid, you put yourself out there. This is all allegations. I'm not trying to say this is all factual, but now you're in it. I'd love to hear from you. Call us anytime to be on the show. We will happily share your side of the case. But here she is. This is who they're talking about in these emails. Mentions Sigrid and David Boys lied to both me and my sister, claiming we couldn't appeal the decision. something, it's cropped in the DOJ thing, something about steal my compensation. It was to cover up their blackmail bank scheme on behalf of libig term adult ex-workers who stays certain of age. That's not proper. An adult employee committing crimes. This was all paid wildly as we watch and beg for my share as the solo whistleblower. Do your jobs, everyone, before I'm unalived by this gang. Please do your jobs. Now, there's more coming in, but I want to go back to you guys as you react to this. Brianna, what are your reactions as you see these emails coming in from this victim who Blake Lively herself is using as, oh my God, Sigrid, the lawyers who helped these Jeffrey victims? How does this read to you as someone who's there in the trial to now read these emails now and how scared and frustrated and trouble they're having?
Well, I think apart from even being present at the trial, anyone that understands kind of like the socializing of lawyers is that, Sigrid and David Boies were the main attorneys representing the victims, and they are the attorneys that settled with Prince Andrew so that it wouldn't have to go to litigation. Any lawyer that's going to be defending kind of the victims and the survivors, they're probably playing both sides of the fence. They don't just put any attorneys on a case against the monarchy, okay? Like, they don't just put any attorneys on a case against the government. They don't just put any attorneys on a case that is protecting billionaires and big power players globally. So
Allegedly.
Thank you. And so I just assume that any lawyer on this case allegedly is going to be really strong at playing both sides of the fence and being able to be in bed, so to speak, with pretty much anyone so that they can get results that are not just great for the survivors, but also for the people that are being protected who did these horrible alleged crimes.
Yeah, so here's more of these emails. This is Sigrid is CC'd on this one, and this was in April 21st. There's a lot of attachments and things that go in there, but I want to focus on sort of the last thing here, which is here it comes into. We are sick of being abused, sick of it. When I am provided enough protection to live a life, what about blank? Why did I risk my life for authorities only to be erased? All the culpable Jane long-term employees are fully safe. No one forced them forward. They received millions. So if they had been brought forward, they could afford to protect themselves. I wasn't provided safety, compensation, or even an ounce of valor. As FBI sits on my files and refuses to protect me, release my 1996 report before I die, please. My entire life was stolen by FBI, NYPD, via not protecting me. I am unsafe, and no one of authority has ever cared. Everyone cared to take testimony, then abandoned me with criminal stalkers and zero credibility as the whistleblower I am. It's very unsafe for me, and no one person will assist. When does it end? Jennifer, I cannot take any more. Do I just not get to live a life? Is that it? While crazy conspiracy theorists claims they're unsafe after using me, taking all my credit, I am literally unsafe. It's made me clear to me I never mattered as more than someone for authorities to use and discard. David never protected me. He used me, ragged me during cancer treatments, and then asked Sigrid to shame me for truth. Then he used blank and my mother, ragged to save face after harming Rose McGowan. Then both Sigrid, David blatantly lied to keep me uncompensated. It's been earth-shattering and illegal. You broke many Florida bar laws when misrepresenting me. It's unfathomable to everyone. My mother is quite famous with the essaying lawyers, bedwords, blah, blah, blah. If you are a victim, not yet trafficked, we will fix that for you. James responds to his climate. Anyway, you're getting the sense here. I can keep reading, but some of it's even tough.
It says you and Sigrid caused me a full nervous system breakdown. My family doesn't recognize me. You stole my hopes, dreams, and abilities to survive cancer when you lied about my appeal. There was a dirty layer of filth over everything you touched. You destroyed me. Blank and my mother are the federal witnesses who watch. God is my witness. So, and then here's where we need to segue. So then she says, this way there will be a trial if I'm murdered by Maxwell's buddies as promised for many decades. So if you scroll up in this file, you're going to see a woman that Brianna and I both unfortunately used to freelance write for, and her name is Jessica Reed Krause of House and Habit. She is named in the files a lot, which was really shocking to wake up to the other day, because for the last year, we've been discovering things about her that we did not know when working there. They were doing the Ghislaine trial together. We had suspicions that she was in bed with possibly Maxwell's team. Until these emails were leaked the other day, we had no idea how deep this went, and this put a lot of the puzzle pieces together for us. So there's a few emails here where this same witness and whistleblower emails the FBI and announces that she's being harassed and smeared by this gang, as she refers to them as. And she references our old boss, House and Habit, along with this woman, Lady Victoria Hervey, who is Prince Andrew's ex, who's spotted with, Ghislaine and Jeffrey in many pictures. And also they mentioned this man named George Tonks. This goes so deep. So we've always known that Jessica Reed Krause has used her platform to attack, launder attacks on people that she's mad at, but we did not know it went this deep. So this witness is claiming that she used her Substack to print lies about her, and because this woman, there's one of the emails where she said, I sent it to you. Go back to that one. That one was great. So here she's specifically
Ariel Mitchell, kid from the Diddy trial, also weirdly in this. It's like every story is connecting. Go ahead. Sorry.
So in this email, it's the same witness, and she's allegedly, and it's saying that Krause, so her last name is Jessica Reed Krause, Krause printed it. So it's saying this felon served this felon while on parole. He used around and used being brought up on stalking me by a federal judge and handed in a letter of lies about me. Then Krause printed it. It lies about David. It lies about Sigrid. It lies about me. Krause used his letter of lies to write a hit piece while the pod mafia abused me. Crickets from authorities, crickets from lawyers. Then I die. These lunatics label me blank and work in tandem with the victim stalker blank, blank, blank. I have had to relocate for my safety. Now, here's where it gets interesting, Andy. In this next paragraph, she talks about Krause's history of how she uses her newsletter and what other women she has successfully toppled the reputations of.
I mean, you can make the same argument about me, Meghan Markle, Amber Heard.
Well,
that's the problem here.
It gets a little tricky here because people don't like Meghan Markle, they don't like Amber Heard, but it goes into victims of Diddy, Epstein, Tate. So that's what Maria's saying. I actually don't think House and Habit did ever go after any of Tate's or Diddy's victims, so that's not true. But this is the part that's interesting. The same mob harassed Sigrid's new clients who survived Masterson. So Jessica Reed Krause is friends with Danny Masterson's PR person, who was Diddy's PR person. So she has been they just were photographed at her Christmas party together because Danny had an appeal coming up. And Jessica was one of the only people supporting Danny Masterson during his trial. So it's interesting she brings it here. But basically what she's saying is that if you go to the next email, that they all work together. So this woman, Lady Victoria Hervey, she was bullying the late Virginia Giuffre up until her death, and even after her death. She was posting images of Virginia overweight, saying, look what happens when you eat too many pork pies, calling her fat, saying you deserve to die. This woman, allegedly, I have all the screenshots saved. This woman is one of House and Habit's best friends. They go to Mar-a-Lago together. And this witness is now claiming that they worked in together to smear, abuse, harass, and stalk her. And the reason it's crazy is because I've been clocking all of this harassment, but I had no idea how dark it actually got. And what ended up happening was this witness claims she served Lady Victoria Hervey. So, and she was planning to serve Krause. So then once she served Hervey, Hervey's attacks stopped. So then Hervey was extending all the harassment to have other people do her dirty work. It's like a lot.
It sounds like a smear campaign to me, which is the irony again, bringing it back to.
I feel like I didn't make any sense at all.
A journalism award for a reason for Emily Hagan. That was perfect.
Can you help me?
Yeah, I'm happy to go a little bit more. So a few months ago, I said to Emily, I was like, I went through my screenshots in my photo album from when I was covering the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. It was before I had met Jess officially, but I was like, who is this woman? And I screenshotted a lot of her Instagram stories. And in the moment, I thought, wow, she's really done her research. I need to be as good at researching as Jessica Krause. In hindsight, sir, 5 years later, how I'm reading Jessica's information was that it was planted to her. That, this is alleged. This is just my intuition. I have absolutely no basis of fact for this current theory, but no one else had the information about Ghislaine Maxwell that Jessica Krause has. And I don't know how she got it because it's not just Google. Jessica has shared stories of Ghislaine's childhood, of her Christmases, of her siblings' car crash and death, and like different phases of Ghislaine's life, things that like you just don't find on the internet. And there were no books written about her at the time. So you have to wonder how these people in modern media, these modern influencers, are really like, you know, swaying juries and being used as like new types of PR in a creative way in the age of social media.
Yeah,
and it's alleged.
and I had received a tip recently that so she's been wearing the Free Ghislaine shirt for a while. She's been in the press for wearing a Free Ghislaine
You're talking
shirt.
about Jessica.
Yeah, and like she dresses her child as Ghislaine's family for Halloween. Like it gets really dark and weird. And now her husband today is going around the internet saying that anyone that believes the files is a moron. And she's claiming she manifested her way into the Epstein files. And the whole thing is bizarre because no one understands how she got in with the elite. Like she was one of the women holding a binder.
Yeah, it was just
But-
wasn't she part of the crew? Just like because I'll share my thoughts on Jessica in a second and offend for but Emily Austin was one I wanted to call out because she was one of many who's like
We'll
out
talk
there
about Emily.
taking
Let me
selfies with the binder. It's so
I
gross.
just want to make one point very clear is people think that Jessica Reed Krause has changed, but I have went through all of her old archives on Ghislaine Maxwell and nothing has made sense. If you actually go back in time, she just did an amazing job at tricking her audience into believing that she was led to the trial by divine navigation and an owl. I am not kidding you, Andy. If you go to her old article, she fundraised and said she needed to go to the Ghislaine Maxwell trial because a majestic owl used to appear on her back porch and they would gaze at each other for hours and it made her feel a sense of power. So then she raised allegedly $50,000 to go cover the trial. And she said one day she was sitting in the courtroom and Ghislaine Maxwell turned to her. And when they locked eyes, it was the same gaze as the owl. This is the journalism she was publishing during the trial. And now she is the same woman that was given the binder, calling it a hoax. And now she is in the files. It is so dark. And she is now saying that she's going to teach her audience how they too can manifest themselves in ways that she has by gaining access to Mar-a-Lago and gaining access to the Epstein elite. She wants to now teach this course. It's very, very dark. And now I'm like, did she like do a seance? Because this is weird.
Well, I want to chime in because
and now we just found out today there's an owl on Epstein's. What was it?
there is an owl.
Temple.
His temple has an owl. So now we're like, she keeps saying that the owl is the reason. So she got told the first day at the Ghislaine trial, she was told by a New York Times reporter, stop being so sympathetic to Ghislaine Maxwell. Within a few days, she earned the label of grape apologist, which she has worn proudly since. So she always hides behind this owl. So she'll say, oh, the owl told me this. It's like, who's the owl, really? Now, it's very creepy.
Jeez. Well, I just want to respond. I'm not, again, I didn't let you guys, I told you guys to talk whatever. I did not come in to do a takedown on Jessica. I do not follow that case. I trust you. I want you to say your piece. Full disclosure, I actually emailed Jessica because she's been on the show. I don't know her that well. I don't follow her well, but she was close to the Depp trial. I did reach out to her before I knew of this. I knew you guys had some sort of beef. I try to play Switzerland, guys.
You're not taking her down. She's doing a great job.
But anyway, I say your piece. And Jessica, you're more than welcome to come on the show and respond if anything here is untrue.
Yeah, we would
I'd love to hear
that.
from you too. But at the same time, I don't want to stop or your flow or whatever. Say what you say. But it's interesting as you say all that. You know, again, Jessica, feel free to come in and share your piece as well.
I would love it.
But it sounds like a smear campaign. Guys, we talked so much more in the conversation, but I didn't want it to delve into any piece about anybody else without them being here to defend themselves. If you want to hear the full conversation, you can always become a member over on Popcorn Planet. But I just wanted to wrap up again to point out the irony of this case. The fact that Blake Lively hired this Epstein victim lawyer to use as a PR point, mind you, because this didn't happen in January exclusive to People. She was hired back in the fall when she came against me when they needed a Florida lawyer. This wasn't an exclusive news. This was old news. Blake Lively made a point to make this a point to her advantage. And now it's blowing up in her face as Sigrid is being revealed by these Epstein victims as being giving her panic attacks and allegedly stealing the compensation. Again, allegedly. These are real files from apparent real victims that Sigrid and others represented that are now coming forward with pretty damning stuff to say how much it is. And as Emily and Brianna talked about, other people they were not protected by, one of which was Jessica, that came up a lot in the conversation, which I'd love to hear from her directly. I have reached out to her. I'd love to hear her thoughts on what is this? Is there more that she knows that we don't? Let's hear from them all. But at the end of the day, it does sound like, yeah, there was a smear campaign happening in addition from people. Now, it doesn't mean that was from Sigrid or the lawyers per se, but at the same time, they were clearly not standing up for the victims, Sigrid and the lawyers, which this victim is alleging. There was also seemingly a campaign to defame them and discredit them, which is pretty troubling to read. As she wrote, you will all go down for what you've done to the victims. This is your last chance for redemption. You can go through and pause and watch a lot of this, but it's pretty sad to see all the stuff that she's alleging in these documents. The smear campaigns she had to face, the lawyers seemingly pulling away on the compensation and much. Was there corruption? I don't know. I'm not alleging that there was, but this victim is. And this isn't a good look. And it's, again, smacking Blake Lively back in the face because she tried to use this as a pro point for her case because she's standing up for women and girlies. But was Sigrid? I have questions now. I'm very curious why one of these advocates that stuck up, one of these whistleblowers, has so many feelings now back in April and is being left with panic attacks, sweating for hours, vomiting, shaking, being harmed by mobs online, and also Sigrid, David, Leachik, all these people stealing their compensation and blatantly lying to extort banks off the backs of ruthless females. This is a lot to take in. What do you guys think? I want to hear your thoughts. Sigrid, please reach out. You are more than welcome to come on the show anytime. I would have happily interviewed you outside the courtroom, but you went out the back door while I still didn't have my phone. But we are real journalism here. We try to get to the truth as best we can with our reporting. We always correct ourselves if we're wrong. And I would love to hear your state on this. I would love to hear your other side of this, as well as from Jessica, who we reached out to. I'd love to hear her perspective on this as well. So lots more to come, particularly, but either way, not a good look for Blake Lively. I think that's something we can all agree on.